Hello and welcome back to Vazura Recaps. The episode begins with the last men's basketball game between Sarin High School and their opponents, in which our main character Dai Young also participates. He is one of the promising players and is in charge of leading the team as scouts from universities examine the players. It is a crucial game for Dai Young to acquire scholarships for further education. In a flashback, we see Dai Young's girlfriend, Da Zhang, arrive to see him before the start of the game. She wishes him luck in the game and advises him to perform well and impress everyone. Dai Young, on the other hand, senses her concern and inquires as to what is happening. She first refuses to reveal anything, but after Dai Young insists, she confesses her pregnancy. Dai Young is surprised to hear this, but he still shows up to play the game. Young's squad is currently losing the game. He looks around the audience, but he doesn't spot Da Zhang. Dai Young exits the game and hurries off the floor without hesitation. The team coach and the audience encourage him to continue playing, but he ignores them and walks out. When he meets Da Zhang, he tells her that she is the most important person in his life and that he is her future. We learn here that Dai Young abandoned the game to console his lover, and they soon marry. Following this, Da Zhang has twins, Xia and Xi Wu, and both of their lives center around earning a living and caring for their children. The scene then turns to 18 years later, when Dai Young is living in the home of his billionaire buddy Go Deok Jin. His marriage to Da Zhang is rocky, and they are on the verge of divorce. Dai Young, who has a low education, works as a washing machine repairman, whereas Da Zhang is a media company anchor. Xia and Xi Wu, their twin children, attend the same high school as their parents. Even though Dai Young does not live with them, he adores them and frequently takes them out to lunch. During these travels, he inquires about Da Zhang and tells them that after he is promoted, they would be able to be a family again. Dai Young excitedly awaits the senior manager's announcement of his promotion one day at work. The manager, much to his chagrin, promotes someone unexpected. This infuriates Dai Young, and he confronts the manager in order to learn the truth. The manager responds by criticizing Dai Young's lack of education and insulting his family. Dai Young, enraged, assaults the manager, headbutting him and throwing him to the ground. He storms out of the office and announces his resignation. Moving on, Dai Young pays a visit to an elderly customer whose washing machine and radio he had previously repaired. He comes upon a leaflet that asks, "Do you want to get younger again?" Dai Young says yes in hushed tones and walks away. Later that night, he returns to the high school and joins the basketball court, recalling how desperate he was to advance his basketball career. He then gets a basketball and prays to God that if he makes a basket, God will make him young. He attempts several times but fails and misses the basket. However, he scores when he decides to give it one last go before departing. He transforms into a child by the use of magic. Dai Young has no idea, so he goes into a local supermarket to purchase some food. Dai Young is surprised to see Xia working at the supermarket counter. He scolds her for working without alerting her parents and attempts to take her outside, unaware that the little boy is actually her father. Xia responds by calling him a stranger. Dai Young is stunned when he sees his reflection in a mirror and realizes he's grown up. He then proceeds to his friend's flat. Dai Young's friend Deok Jin, who does not recognize him, advises him to leave the building. Strikes him with a couple of game gadgets while noticing their high school picture on the table. He holds the photograph in his hands and compares it to a young boy who claims to be Dai Young. Surprisingly, the two faces appear identical, and he eventually believes that the little kid is Dai Little, who has reverted to his younger self. Following that, the two buddies sat together, and Dai Young asks Deok Jin why he turned young again. The latter clarifies that God has given him a second chance to live his life fully and to set things right. At this point, we learn that Dai Young feels Da Zhang is okay with a divorce. He has no idea how much she misses him. She is genuinely delighted these days because she was chosen for an interview with JBC News, one of the country's most well-known news organizations. Deok-jin brings Da-young to Sarin High School the next day and chooses to enroll him there. She, and Shi-woo attend the same school. During the admissions process, Deok-jin meets Da-young's homeroom teacher and falls in love with her. Music. Moving on, Da-young is assigned to the same class as his daughter and given the name Woo-young. She, instantly identifies him as the person who irritated her at the supermarket the night before. She confronts him on the school terrace with two classmates, believing he is following her. She threatens him and orders him to leave. Woo-young is astounded to see his innocent daughter acting like a bully. Later, he observes his son sitting alone in the cafeteria and approaches him to make him feel more at ease. Then a gang of bullies appears, led by Ja-sung, the captain of the high school basketball team, who smacks Shae-woo with the ball and teases him. Woo-young cannot stand by and see his kid being bullied in front of him, so he tries to teach Ja-sung a lesson. He then summons Ja-sung and displays his basketball skills in front of everyone to compete with him. Woo-young is admired by all of the students in the cafeteria for his cool handling of the situation. In the next scene, Woo-young then steps out to smoke a cigarette and decides to do it in the back of the school building. He is surprised to find Shi-ah smoking alone. Woo-young, posing as a father, yells at his daughter for becoming addicted to unhealthy behaviors. Shi-ah, on the other hand, does not listen to him and walks away. When Woo-young starts smoking after this, he is caught by one of the school teachers and hauled to the principal's office. He tells everyone that Shi-ah is just as guilty as him, and she is quickly taken into the office. Woo-young assumed that if the teachers chastised Shi-ah, she would cease smoking. Instead of criticizing her, the teacher begins striking her with a wooden support. Woo-young cannot see this, requests the teacher to stop while holding his hand. The teacher becomes enraged by his behavior and instructs both kids to contact their parents. Da-jang then appears at the office and speaks with the teacher, admitting that the cigarette her daughter used belonged to her. She then discovers Woo-young seated near them and is astonished to realize how similar his appearance is to her husband's school days. She approaches him and examines him till the teacher tells her to stay away from Woo-young. Simultaneously, Deok-jin appears and declares that Woo-young is his son, stunning Da-jang. Woo-young observes the bully group behind his son in the evening after school and decides to follow them. The bully group departs, and Shi-woo enters the basketball court for practice. Woo-young learns here that his son is very interested in basketball but has never had the courage to tell him so. Knowing that Shae-woo has no friends, he approaches him and challenges him to a game. They play for a while together and form a friendship bond. Meanwhile, Da-jang is wandering the city's night streets with her companion Chu. Her friend encourages that she forget about her troubles and enjoy life to the fullest. Following the advice, Da-jang closes her eyes and approaches a man standing nearby. During this, she is nearly hit by a car, but Woo-young arrives in time to save her. He then accompanies her home, expressing his goal to be a basketball player along the way. Hearing this, Da-jang advises him to quit smoking and work hard to attain his goal. Following Deok-jin's advice, Woo-young begins exercising and makes an effort to avoid cigarettes and alcohol. He then decides that he needs to focus on his children and help them build a good future. Da-jang, on the other hand, recalls Woo-young saving her from being hit by a car and compares it to what Da-young did to her during their school days. She rushes to her cupboard, pulls out a picture of Da-young, and is astounded to discover how similar it is to Woo-young. She goes straight to Deok-jin's residence to meet the mysterious boy. When Woo-young stands in front of her, she pulls out a photograph of her young spouse and begins comparing them. Finally, she concludes that Woo-young must be Da-young's son. Deok-jin, on the other hand, rejects it and claims to be his son. To back up his assertions, he says Woo-young has the face of his mother, who resembles Da-young. Hearing this, Da-jang becomes perplexed and resolves to phone her husband to find out the truth. Woo Young's phone begins to ring, but before he is discovered, he hurries out of the house and picks up the phone. He then speaks like the old Da Young, assuring his wife that he does not have any other son save Shewoo. It begins to rain at school, and Woo Young notices that Xia has not packed an umbrella. He then proceeds to a store and purchases 2 umbrellas, one for Xia and the other for Shewoo, which he places on his seat. Woo Young now considers himself to be one of the best fathers in the world. The scene then turns to Da Zhang, who is with Chu in a shopping mall. While they are checking on some cosmetic products, Da Zhang receives a message and realizes that she has been selected as an anchor for JBC. She is overjoyed, and Chu also congratulates her on the achievement. Meanwhile, Woo Young is selected for the school basketball team and invites Shewoo to join him. Initially, she refuses, but after constant pressure from Woo Young, she agrees. Later, while the two are walking back home, Da Zhang approaches them and notifies her son of her selection in JBC. Woo Young, to her surprise, becomes overjoyed for her, and they embrace. The next day, while strolling alone in the school hallway, Woo Young witnesses the bully group harassing Shewoo. He chases the group, enraged, and challenges the leader, Ja Sung, to a basketball game. When the students learn about the match, they congregate around the court to support Ja Sung. To their astonishment, Woo Young and Shewoo collaborated well and finally won the challenge. The scene then turns to Da Zhang, who is awaiting her time to anchor a show. The director of JBC approaches her at that moment and invites her to interview a famous baseball player. Da Zhang jumps at the chance and sets out to interview the player with no script or preparation. Fortunately, the interview goes well and everyone compliments her on her performance. When Woo Young arrives at school the next day, he witnesses a group of boys making disparaging remarks about Da Zhang's age and appearance. He proceeds to fight the lads, but Xia's friend Ji-ho assaults them first. The episode concludes with Woo Young joining Ji-ho and warning the bullies not to bother him. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more material like this, and please press the like button to assist us. Also, if you want us to recap your favorite movie, leave a comment. Take care until the next time.